Welcome to the third episode of Worth a Play or Put It Away. The game featured this time around was Castlevania Lords of Shadow. This 2010 action-adventure game was actually not originally announced as part of the Castlevania series. This was done in order to keep the radical change in direction a surprise to fans. The game spawned 2 sequels. The voice acting was the first thing I noticed about the game.
Tell me, warrior, are you aware of what is happening in the world?
We have been deserted by God.
It is absolutely superb, even for its time. And the fact that Patrick Stewart voices a character / the narrator makes it even better.
The struggle for supremacy is eternal, inevitable. Victory is the natural objective of every creature on this world.
The other thing that stood out right away was the graphics. Gorgeous by 360 standards. Sometimes the weather will even cover up the camera in rain or frost, and it really adds to the aesthetic of the game. On the other hand, if you stand still too long, the camera shakes like this. I'm not sure if it was intentional or not, but it's really annoying. The game has multiple difficulty settings. One thing I truly appreciate about a game is when you can change the difficulty mid-game if the game is too challenging or not challenging enough. This game is one of those games, which is really nice. It throws you into the game right away, but it's very good about teaching you the controls. It would even give little reminders late game about certain control aspects. Fighting in this game was a breeze to control. Even if the battle was hard, the controls were very fluid and easy to use. One of the biggest gameplay aspects was the use of QuickTime events to perform certain actions, such as breaking out of an attack or finishing off a foe. It made sure you're paying attention, and I feel this only added to gameplay. You also get a wide variety of abilities and magic spells, with upgrades and new abilities available for purchase. The downside is, there were so many abilities that I sort of forgot about most of them until one of them became required to beat a boss later in the game, but more on that later. The other part of the controls is the aspect of platforming, which some people complain about that online, but I had zero issues with it, except for what I'll mention next. My biggest issue with the gameplay was the camera. It's awful. It switches on you constantly, and sometimes you even change direction as a result of the fixed camera angle changing on you. The camera was the true challenge of the game. You get used to it, but you shouldn't have to. For a 2010 360 game, the camera really falls flat in comparison to other games of that era. The other issue I had, which really wasn't a deal breaker, but in my opinion, it hurts the experience, was the music, or lack thereof. Sometimes the music was absolutely gorgeous, but mostly it was just silence. One of the things I love about the Castlevania series is the music, so the fact that this one had next to none really disappointed me. One of my favorite parts, though small, was the fact that you could ride on certain enemies, such as trolls or giant spiders, use them to solve puzzles, and also use them to attack for you. I thought that was super fun and unique. The bosses were really cool. They were varied enough to not be boring, but fit the theme well enough. The Titans were a bit of a learning curve, but once I got the hang of them, they were a ton of fun. I thought they were super interesting and a fun challenge. The boss I had issues with was called the Mechanical Monstrosity, and that's an understatement. A purchased ability is required to beat the boss. It's an ability where you jump in the air and then punch down at an angle. It's really hard to control, and you have a limited amount of time to use it to harm the boss, which makes it so frustrating because if you miss, the boss will heal itself. It was the only part of the game that truly frustrated me. On to the ratings. For this game, I used my single-player story game score sheet. Story: 8. The game had a few twists, and it made several clever nods to previous games in the series. Characters: 9. The characters were interesting. Gabriel was a compelling protagonist, though his motives were questionable. The supporting characters were memorable and well done. Gameplay and controls: 7. It loses points for the bad camera. That is all. Visuals and vibe: 9. The game looks gorgeous, though it loses 1 point for the shaky camera. Pacing and structure: 7.5. The first third of the game is paced poorly and fairly slow, though it definitely picks up later on. Soundtrack: 5.5. The music that is in it is pretty, though none of it is memorable. And mostly, it's just silence. The final score for this game is 7.67. Overall, I rate this game as worth a play. If you're a fan of adventure games or the Castlevania series at all, please give this one a chance. You won't be disappointed. Okay, it's time to spin the wheel for my next game. Looks like I'll be playing The Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse. This one seems interesting, and I can't wait to try it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next episode of Worth a Play or Put It Away.